So how does DNA affect your ability to draw your pistol and fire rounds quickly downrange? It affects it greatly. DNA is everything when it comes to our hair color, our height, our bone structure, our weight, our eye color, the size of our nose, hand size, you name it. That DNA code contains everything as it pertains to each individual. If you were to take a human's DNA code and put it on paper, it would take 500,000 sheets of 8.5 by 11 paper laid end to end that would run about 82 miles. 500,000 sheets of paper is what you and I have in our DNA. So if you broke it down on paper, 82 miles it would stretch. It's amazing to think about. And what that also involves is it has a lot to do with our not just our appearance and our size and structure, but our athletic ability, how fast we are, how strong we are, our hand-eye coordination. It's all wired into us. And it absolutely plays a role in how fast you're going to be able to deploy a pistol and fire rounds accurately. Now, deploying a pistol and firing rounds is one thing. Putting them on target requires extraordinary hand-eye coordination, and it's an athletic move. So when you see guys like Instructor Zero and Barrett Fallbush and Jerry Michalek out of the holster and putting rounds on target, 3 rounds in a second or less than a second, that's amazing, and that's a gift. And you may think that with a lot of practice you can get there, but you won't unless you are built like they are from a DNA perspective. So that speed is wired in there. How fast you're going to be able to, to go to work with your pistol. And then the other side of the token is how important is speed from a practical standpoint for civilians. From video evidence and from articles I've read, gunfights don't go down like a Jerry Michalek, where it's out of the holster and bang, and you're putting rounds down range. Now it may seem like it's flying, but the videos I've seen and the articles I've read, including the video that I have posted down below, guys, it's a must watch. If you have done anything this month worthwhile, add this to it. This is it's Jared Reston. He's a SWAT member of the Jacksonville Police Department, and he tells a story in 35 minutes that leaves you wanting more. And it's about a fight for his life, and obviously he made it, but wow, you've got to watch it, guys. And it goes to show that there was nothing that Officer Reston could have done from a tactical standpoint out of the holster speed-wise that would have made the situation go better. The bottom line is it was a fight for life, and it escalated to the point of gunplay, and he came out on top. But you've got to watch the video, guys. I can't tell you how good it is. It's my favorite gun-related video I've watched as far as a real-world raw situation. It's just, to watch this, I kept pausing and I'd back it up and watch it again, and I watched it for a second time today. It's just that good. So it's in the description below. Check that out. So while speed is fun and it sells on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube, and we've all tried to be faster, there's no doubt whatsoever. And I will say, up until 2017, I was working on speed. And I started to see my rounds fly all over. And I started thinking, in a real life gunfight, putting rounds on target matters. Now there's a whole bit to where you place those rounds and psychological stops, physical stops, and all that type of thing. And we don't have time to get into all of that today, but stress does amazing things to your body. And if you can eliminate the stress of not being a very good shooter, if your life depends on it, that's one thing you don't have to worry about. So if you can tighten those groups and become a better shooter under stress, when you lose all kinds of functions, cognitive, fine motor skills, bowel and bladder. Police officers and civilians alike during shootings have lost complete control of their bodies. And that's what stress does. Your brain doesn't, it just cares about survival. Everything else is irrelevant and doesn't matter. And so I figure if I could become a better shooter from a tactical and practical standpoint with movement based on real civilian type situations, again, that's one thing that I can eliminate out of the way, and I just pray that someday, if it ever happened, and I pray it doesn't, but if it did, that I can at least become a decent shooter. I take my good groups and they open up some because of stress, and I can still protect human life if I had to. So while speed is important, guys, getting hits matters. Wyatt Earp was big on getting hits, you know, instead of speed. You think about it, in a boxing match or an MMA fight, you know, a guy can have the fastest jab on the planet, but if it never lands, it means nothing. It means absolutely zero. So you've got to make sure you're hitting your target, just as a boxer has to make sure that his punches are landing, or else the fight's not going to go your way. Bob Keller, longtime Spec Ops guy. I love his stuff. He's huge on the fundamentals and working the basics and getting hits. He says speed is great, but speed isn't always the guy. The fastest guy isn't always the one that wins the fight. The one who wins the fight is the one putting rounds on target, because he's the guy, in Bob's words, who has the balls to stand in front of someone else and exchange gunfire while bullets are whizzing past your head. So it's the guy with the guts. It's the guy with the mindset, not necessarily the speed. Now, if you have the speed and the mindset, good on you. You will probably survive without question. But I think people fail to realize that if bullets are flying both ways, there's a good chance you're going to take a hit. And are you a fighter or are you a runner? You know, that fight or flight response is part of our DNA also. It's built in. And if you're a runner, if you flight, you know, if you flee, avoid a gunfight at all costs, because it probably won't turn out very well for you. Now, obviously, even if you're a fighter, it can turn out poorly. We've seen, you know, special operators in the United States military killed by terrorists and militants. And while we hate that, it just goes to show that even the highest trained people can lose a gunfight, and we hate it. But the bottom line is, speed is great, but you're only going to be as fast as your DNA allows. Your athletic ability is determined by your DNA. So how fast you can pull that gun and get hits with that hand-eye coordination is only going to go so far. I'm not discouraging you from practicing, but I'm saying you're only going to get so fast, just like you're only going to jump so high. You're only going to throw the ball so far based on your limits. You know, you have a cap. You have a DNA cap on really whatever it is, you know, athletically. So that mindset is where it's got to be. Mindset and getting hits is more important than being fast. Develop those two things. If you have the mindset, develop the accuracy, you know, your marksmanship, and then allow that speed to come up, and then you'll have the entire package and stay alive if, God forbid, you ever had to you know, pull your pistol on a bad guy. Appreciate you guys watching. Let me know below your thoughts. If you have not liked and subscribed, please do. I always appreciate your support, guys. Thank you.